So we decided to catch up with Kyle Peter from Team Tecnu out of California. Currently, Team Tecnu is ranked 5th in the Adventure Racing World Series. Now, Kyle and his team aren't racing this upcoming XPD, but they did race the 6th edition, which was the last race. So we decided to get some words on how that went for their team and what racers can expect from this year's edition, which is in a completely different area. 6th was in Tasmania. This edition, of course, is in the southern outback.
So Kyle, last XPD was in Tasmania. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you faced with that race.
Yeah, so we went out to Tasmania without too much preparation. We had won our spot maybe 6 to 8 weeks beforehand, so we didn't have too much time to research and see what we're getting into. But we went out there and we gave it our best shot. And Tasmania is actually a lot similar to New Zealand and not like your typical mainland Australia. So we had quite a bit of vegetation, a lot of water, a lot of different birds and kangaroos and things like that, which were pretty cool and unique for us North Americans to see.
Sure.
You know, kind of the race's reputation is really big legs. So you're out there for a really long time, really expedition style. And I think their tagline is just as much expedition as a race, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started out. We wanted to hammer and see how we could do. We thought a top 10 placement was within our reach.
Uh-huh.
And I think we kind of had a fast pace the first day, and it caught up to with Liza pretty quickly.
Right.
And yeah, towards the end, before the sunset, she started puking on the bike and just not feeling super hot. So we were able to support her, carry her pack and give her a tow on the bike to let her recover. But it didn't quite happen, and we were starting, I think it was like a 24-hour trek leg during the first night, and we were going up a hill, and there was just no forward progress. So it was pretty clear, especially at that point in the race, that we needed to take an early sleep and a pretty decent sleep. So
right.
We pulled out the mandatory tent, which we don't always like to have to take out in a race, but we did.
Yeah.
And we laid down for 3 hours that first night. Lost plenty of spots, but that wasn't important. It was very early in the race. I think the whole race took us, 6 days to get through. So very early and really worth thinking about what's going to happen day 3, day 4, day 5.
Yeah.
And that's what we did for Liza. She was 100% from there on out, and we slowly started moving up the ranks until we kind of got into our chase pack group of, maybe places 8th through 13th.
Yeah. You guys did make quite a comeback.
Yeah, things were going good, and I think we were pretty happy in that spot, but we definitely came to points in the race where, we were either going to be able to finish on the front end of that chase pack or in the back end, and unfortunately there was a long river paddle on the Arthur River that was expected to, no team could make it through in one day because we had to sleep at night. We had to pull off and make camp.
Right.
And no one was expected to make it all the way through. We were racing alongside FJS quite a bit, and they were the only team that made it all the way through. They got on as soon as the dark zone lifted, and they pulled off with just like a minute to spare or something like that.
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, getting there, I had made pretty much a game-changing navigational error, kind of parallel feature error where we dropped down into a valley. I was expecting to see a bridge. There was a bridge. Climb up the other side. Things were matching, and we got to the top and started to realize that something's really, really off here.
Yeah. And
this was like a 5-6 hour mistake. So when you have mistakes that big, they kind of, multiply on themselves because that's 6 hours less food you have. That's 6 hours more wear and tear on your body.
Right.
That's 6 hours, mentally just devastating. So after we made the mistake and actually got back on track and were out of food, I just kind of mentally lost it, and I was just a mental milkshake. And I remember we were trying to bike down this muddy trail, and FJS came flying past us riding while we were pushing.
Yeah.
And we took a nap in the swampy, muddy nastiness. And anyway, we that kind of set our fate, and we put it on the paddle a bit later, needed some extra sleep. So, yeah, we ended up finishing kind of towards the back of that group we were with in 12th.
Right.
But still very, very pleased with our finish, top North American team.
Yeah.
And it kind of opened up our eyes as a team to, hey, let's see what we can do to go up the ranks, because we were so close to that top 5 group, and we're still kind of searching for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have pushed up in the at least in the World Series rankings. So what are you up at right now? I think you're in 5th, aren't you?
Yeah, we are in 5th, right behind Columbia Vita
right.
who is on fire right now, beating Seagate in the Eco Motion.
Yeah, sure.
And their new teammate Marco Amsalam was actually in Tasmania with us.
Right.
And raced on Team Tecnu for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see him find a new home that I think is obviously working out a lot better for him. Yeah.
XPD in a lot of the races that you guys are that you do, the expedition length, navigation is huge, and I just expect it to be as huge for this one coming up. And it's not in Tasmania; it's in the outback now, so it's a completely different beast all its own. And you mentioned there's a lot of paddling in Tasmania. It seems like for this XPD coming up, there's not a lot of paddling whatsoever. So it's going to be dry.
Yeah, it's going to be dry, so that means heavy backpacks.
Yeah.
Potentially carrying 2 liters, so maybe 6 liters per person.
Right.
Which I've done before, and it's not fun. And, I talked about things kind of multiplying, and when you have to carry that much weight, the feet start breaking down a lot sooner and get sore, and the body breaks down sooner, and you move slower. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, and navigation is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
For those guys, they enjoy good route finding, and they throw in a bit of orienteering too. So they'll have some, a lot of expedition races. The particular location of the checkpoint is a major feature, like a road junction or the top of a mountain. Right. But XPD likes to place their points. They're fair placements. A good navigator can walk straight to them.
Right.
But they're on a little tiny ridge in the bush, or a minor re-entrant or drainage or something. So they're going to have to stay alert while they're carrying those heavy packs late into the race to stay on course and move efficiently.
Sure. Yeah, navigation definitely will be key for this one. If you're racing with your team, with Tecnu down there coming up, what would be top of your mind throughout the whole race?
I think a little bit of research on the Outback and what to expect, but I hate snakes, and I'd have to check out what kind of snakes they got going there, and especially the aggressive ones, like the ones that actually come at you, because what consoles me is the fact that 99% of snakes I've ever come across, they're always trying to get away, which I like. I'd check out the snakes, and I'd probably try to check out the terrain and see, where you go anywhere, whether it's if you go in the Kootenays, British Columbia, you travel in drainages because the ridges are cliffed out, nasty rock. You can't even get up there.
Right.
But if you go race in the southeast, in the Appalachians or the Smoky Mountains, southeast of the U.S., you only want to travel on ridges because the drainages are just choked out with rhododendron and all kinds of nasty bushes. So you definitely want to do your homework and figure out, what are the major travel routes in the Outback. And I don't know, maybe it's low, maybe it's high, who knows, but it sounds like you're going to probably get a lot of sand in your shoes, so maybe I'd be looking at some of those shoe coverings that, folks use for the desert races or the Abu Dhabi race. Sure.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's going to be definitely a dry one. But thanks so much, Kyle. That's fantastic. Good information for the racers, and hopefully it'll be a good race.
Yeah, cool.
So that was Kyle Peter of Team Tecnu, currently 5th in the Adventure Racing World Series. We're looking forward to seeing Kyle and his team at the final World Championships coming up in November in Costa Rica.